Hello everyone, good evening to all. So today is the fourth day of our GST Live Course. So first confirm me that my voice is audible and the presentation is visible to you so that we can start the session. Just confirm me once that my voice is audible and the presentation is visible to you. Okay. So we are going to start our session. We are going to start our discussion. So in last 3 days, we had covered many things from GST law. We had started our background session with the background that is constitutional background of GST Article 246A. सर आपको याद होगा शायद आर्टिकल 246A जो कॉन्करेंट पावर देता है. आर्टिकल 246A is giving concurrent power to the central government as well as to state government for making the laws with regard to GST. GST Council is here for the distribution of the revenue in between the center and state and for notify the date from which the GST will be applicable on the 5 petroleum product. After that, we had started our discussion on section 7 of CGST Act, that is supply. And in that case, we had read the language of section 7 of CGST Act, that is supply includes sale, exchange, barter, lease, transfer, rental all these for a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. And if someone is going to make the import of services for a consideration whether in the course of business or not in the course of business, that will be treated as the supply and GST will be charged accordingly. Then after हम लोगों ने तीन शेड्यूल की बात की थी, शेड्यूल नंबर 1, शेड्यूल नंबर 2, शेड्यूल नंबर 3. शेड्यूल नंबर 1 talks about all the activities or transactions whether it's a consideration or consideration, but if all those activities or transactions in the course or furtherance of business, in that case GS that will be treated as supply, and valuation will be decided, that is consideration will be decided as per section 15 and the relevant valuation rules. After that, schedule 2 of CGST Act, that is the transactions or activities will be treated as a supply of goods or supply of services. और एक उसके अंदर मेन चीज हम लोगों ने डिस्कस की थी, whenever there will be a transfer title in goods, in that case we can say that that will be a supply of goods, or in that case there is a right transfer of right, in that case we can say that there is a transfer of supply of services. Okay, after that schedule 3 talks about your certain activities or transaction which is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, employee relationship with that any person who is holding the post in the Constitution of India, municipality, corporation, etc, and funeral and उससे related activities, land की sale भी neither supply of goods nor supply of services. But in case of building, 1/3 will be treated as the value of land. अगर यहाँ पर कोई specific valuation के लिए नहीं दिया हुआ है तो, if the specific rule is not available, that is what is the concept of section 7 of supply. Then after we had started our discussion on section 8 of GST Act, that is mixed supply and composite supply. Mixed supply means not naturally bundled supply, and GST will be chargeable on the highest rate. In case of composite supply, one supply is your principal supply, another supply will be your ancillary supply. GST will be charged accordingly to the principal supply. वो AC and उसके installation वाला expenditure example, and bus body parts वाला example we had discussed. Okay sir. Then after we had started our discussion on section 12, that is time of supply in case of supply of goods. Section 13 talks about the time of supply in case of services. Section 14 is change in rate of tax. Time of supply in case of goods, because advances के ऊपर there is no taxability. In that case, in case of goods, the invoice date will be the time of supply. In case of reverse charge mechanism, at the time of receipt of the goods, or जिस दिन बुक्स में एंट्री हो गई, at the time of entry in the books of accounts, or debit from the bank account, or 30 days from the issue of invoice, whichever is earlier will be the time of supply. Then after we had discussed in case of vouchers, in that case if voucher is identifiable at the time of issue, in that case date of issue will be treated as your time of supply. If the voucher is not identifiable, in that case the redemption date will be the time of supply. If there is any addition on account of late fees, interest, penalty, in that case the addition date will be treated as your time of supply. After that, time of supply of services, in case what will be the time of supply. So in that case, invoice or payment, whichever is earlier will be the time of supply in case of forward charge. In case of reverse charge payment, entry in the books of accounts, or 60 days from the issue of invoices, whichever is earlier will be the time of supply. After that, we had done our discussion on the vouchers part and interest, late fees, any type of addition. Okay, change in rate of tax, in that case invoice or पेमेंट whichever is earlier. In that case अगर आपने गुड्स पहले ही ट्रांसफर कर दिया, अगर गुड्स बाद में ट्रांसफर किया आफ्टर द चेंज इन रेट ऑफ टैक्सेस, इन दैट केस इनवॉइस और पेमेंट whichever is later वाली सिचुएशन आ जाती है, अगर हम लोग कंक्लूसिवली देखेंगे तो. After that, we had started our discussion on section 15, that is valuation. If the buyer and supplier is not the related party and price is sole consideration, in that case transaction value will be your value of supply. And उसमें हम लोगों ने लिखा if there is any type of incidental expenditure, any type of expenditure, in that case that will be added for the valuation purposes. After that, we had started our discussion on various valuation rules. Rule number 27 will be applicable in case of money plus monetary. 28 will be applicable in case of distinct person. And 29 will be applicable in case of your principal and agent. 30 is the master key cost plus 10%. 31, 32 regarding foreign currency exchange. Second hand goods का हम लोगों ने discuss किया. Pure agent supply के बारे में we had already done our discussion. Then after we had started our discussion on section 16 of CGST Act. Section 16 subsection 1 talks about your input tax credit. Whenever you are going to use something in the course or furtherance of your business, in that case you can claim the input tax credit And after that, we had started our discussion on the mandatory conditions for claiming input tax credit, section 16, subsection 2. Invoice आपके पास में होनी चाहिए. You should have the invoice. Then you have received the goods, the same is reflected in the GSTR to be written. Supplier has already been filed the return and आपने भी अपना GSTR return file कर दिया होना चाहिए. And the mandatory condition that buyer has to make the payment within 180 days. If buyer is not going to make the payment within 180 days from the date of issue of invoice, in that case buyer has to reverse the input tax credit. Okay, if you are going to take the benefit of depreciation, in that case you can claim the input tax credit, but you cannot claim the depreciation on the input tax credit part. Okay, after that we had started our discussion on section 17 subsection 5, block the credit, motor vehicles, vessels, aircraft. If we are going to use for the training purposes, for further supply purposes, in that case ITC is allowed. Fruit, beverages, various construction works contract. If there is a immobile property, input is not allowed, but if there is mobile property, in that case input is allowed. Input is allowed in case of plant and machinery. All these type of discussion we had done in our last 3 days. Sir, within 5 to 7 minutes हमने पूरा का पूरा रिवीजन कर लिया जो हमने लास्ट 7 days में रीड आउट किया था. So now, this is your responsibility. Just comment in the chat box that revision is okay and you has revised each and everything. Whatever we had done in last 3 days, all things are clear in your mind. With that, I am going to start section number 18 of CGST Act, that is availability of credit in certain special circumstances. कुछ special circumstances में credit का क्या होने वाला है? What is the special circumstances? So I am going to take certain example, and with the help of certain examples, I am going to describe the situation one by one. Sir, first situation, suppose I have my own business and I am doing my business and my turnover was below the specified limit. Suppose my turnover was below 20 lakh rupees and the limit for taking the registration is 20 lakh rupees in Rajasthan. Okay. In that case, my turnover is below 20 lakh rupees, so that I had not applied for the GST registration. Suppose एक दिन वो आई गया जिस दिन मेरा टर्नओवर माय टर्नओवर हैज गॉट एक्सीडेड बाय 20 lakh rupees and there is requirement to take the registration for me. In that case, the date on which my turnover cross the limit, उस दिन से if I am going to apply for the GST registration within 30 days, in that case I am eligible to claim the input tax credit which is available in my hand as on the date on which my limit has crossed, my turnover has crossed the limit. Because I have no GST registration, but sir मैं कहीं से goods खरीदता होगा तो उसके ऊपर GST लग के आता होगा, but I have no registration, so I am not going to utilize that input tax credit. But on this date, my turnover has exceeded the specified limit. So, all the input tax credit, all the goods which is available in my hand as on date, I am eligible to take the input tax credit for that goods if I am going to apply for the GST registration within 30 days from the liability date. अगर मैं विदिन 30 डेज में नहीं जाऊंगा, इन दैट केस ऑन द डेट ऑफ जिस दिन मेरा जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन आएगा उस दिन मेरे पास में जो गुड्स अवेलेबल है मैं केवल उसकी इनपुट क्लेम कर सकता हूं. द गुड्स व्हिच इज अवेलेबल इन माय हैंड एज ऑन द डेट ऑफ द ग्रांट ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन आई एम एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द इनपुट. बट if I am going to claim, if I am going to take the GST registration within 30 days, in that case whatever goods which is available in my hand as on the date of liability, I am eligible to take the input tax credit. That is what is the concept of section 18 subsection 1 clause A will be applicable in case of this situation. Now, second situation I am going to take. First situation is okay. Sir, in our today's session, we are going to discuss on multiple situations. So, if you have any doubt at the point of any situation, this is my humble request to you. You just need to comment in the chat box. I will take further example. I will take the next example. I will change the example. Okay, whatever possible for me, I can do. But responsibility is on you that you need to comment in the chat box. Okay. After that, उसको कैसे समझाना है? This is my response. So first is okay. और अगर if there is no comment in the chat box, in that case I suppose that everything is okay for you. Okay. Now, second situation, I am going to take my GST registration on voluntary basis. I am going to take the registration on voluntary basis. That is, I am not liable to take the registration, but voluntary basis I am going to take the registration. And whenever I am going to take the registration on voluntary basis, in that case, whatever input tax credit which is available in my hand as on the date of grant of registration, यहाँ पर liability नहीं आएगा. As on the date of grant of registration, suppose मैंने I am going to apply for GST registration on 15th June and department is going to issue me the registration certificate as on the date of 25th of June. In that case, whatever input tax credit which is available in my hand, that is whatever goods which is available in my hand as on 25th of June, I am eligible to take the input tax credit. Okay. So whenever we are going for the departmental audit or whenever we are going to check the GST and 9 and 9C, in that case, if the registration is new, in that case, we need to check these things also. कि उसने input tax credit जो claim की है, that input tax credit is okay or not, as per the rules or not. We need to check these things. Okay. Third situation. Suppose earlier my turnover was below 1.5 CR and I had already registered under composition scheme. I have registered myself under composition scheme and now I have to register myself as a regular taxpayer. As a regular taxpayer, you can read the language whether where any registered person ceases to pay the tax under section 10. Okay. My turnover was below 1.5 CR, hence I was registered under composition scheme. Now my turnover has crossed the limit of 1.5 CR. In that case, I need to take the registration on a regular basis. So at the time of my composition registration, I was not eligible to take the input tax credit. But if I am going to take the registration on regular basis, I am eligible to take the input tax credit. So in that case, if someone was registered under composition and going for the regular scheme, in that case, as on the date of seizing, जिस दिन वो सीज हो गया कि साहब अब वो जो है कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम के अंदर रिटर्न नहीं फाइल कर पाएगा, दैट टैक्सेबल पर्सन इज नॉट एलिजिबल टू फाइल द रिटर्न कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम. From that date, if there is any goods which is held in stock in that particular taxable person, in that case, whatever will be the stock which is available in the hand of that person, he can eligible to claim the input tax credit on that as on the date of seizing of that composition scheme. Okay. Next situation, certain goods was exempted. Now that goods is going to taxable, going for taxable. Department is going to taxable these product or these goods. In that case, at the time of exempted, that person was not going to claim the input tax credit. But जिस दिन वो exemption का notification हटा, there is a notification for taxability, the effective date of the taxability. As on that date, if there is any input tax credit, that is input goods is available in the hand, and there is input tax credit which is in hand of that taxable person, he is eligible to claim the same as on the date of notification for the taxability. So अभी तक हम लोगों ने चार सिचुएशन डिस्कस करी. फर्स्ट, when my turnover crossed the limit and I am going to apply for the GST registration, in that case from the date of liability I am eligible to take the input tax credit. I am going to take the registration on voluntary basis. Second situation, in that case, the date of grant of registration, whatever goods I have, I am eligible to claim the input tax credit. In third situation, composition to taxable person. In that case, when the person is going to seize under composition scheme, in that case, that date, whatever goods is available in the hand of that person, he is eligible to claim the tax credit. And particular goods which is exempted, now the goods is going for taxability. In that case, as on the date of the notification for withdrawal of that exemption, whatever goods will be available in the hand of that person, he is eligible to claim the input tax credit. These four situation is the most crucial part of section 18, subsection 1, subclause number A, B, C, D is completed for us. मैंने बोला कि whatever goods which is available in my hand as on the date of liability, I am eligible to claim the input tax credit. So how I can claim the input tax credit? What is the procedure? So for claiming the input tax credit, I need to file form ITC-01 within 30 days from the date of the eligibility. So I need to file the form ITC-01. And if the amount of ITC is excess of 2 lakh rupees, in that case, with that form ITC-01, one CS certificate will be required. That is, a CS certificate is required in that specific case. Okay. सेक्शन 18 सबसेक्शन 2 सर हमने ये बोला कि एज ऑन द डेट ऑफ द लायबिलिटी व्हाटएवर इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट इज अवेलेबल विद मी, सपोज मेरे पास में कोई 5 साल पुरानी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट पड़ी है, कैन आई एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट फॉर दैट? नो. सो देयर इज एन restriction is there, expiry of 1 year. So मैक्सिमम 1 साल पुरानी, मैक्सिमम ओल्ड इनवॉइस, 1 ईयर ओल्ड इनवॉइस आई कैन टेक द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. बट अगर कोई 1 साल से पुरानी इनवॉइस मेरे पास में है, उसका गुड्स भी मेरे पास में है, इन दैट केस आई एम नॉट एलिजिबल टू टेक द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ऑफ दैट इनवॉइस. सो द मैक्सिमम टाइमलाइन इज 1 year. Okay, whenever we are going to check, go for the audit, or whenever we are going to file the GST and 9 and 9C return, we need to check this fact also. If there is a filing of ITC-01, we need to check the facts that invoices are not older than 1 year. Okay, so these are the basic things on which we need to do our work. Now, third, section number 18, subsection number 3. Where there is a change in the constitution of registered person on account of sale, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease, transfer of business. Suppose I have a business with X Limited and I want to merge my business with Y Limited. So my new business entity will be XY Limited. Okay. I have one business X Limited. Another business is Y Limited. I want to merge both the entities in XY Limited. In that case, I need to transfer the input tax credit of X and Y to XY Limited. So, what is the procedure for transferring that input tax credit? So, whenever there is an amalgamation, merger, demerger, in that case, within 30 days from the date of that amalgamation, merger, demerger, one form ITC-02 has to be filed by the taxpayer. और जब वो ITC-02 फाइल करेगा, in that case, input will automatically transferred to the new party. Okay, one more important step is required. When suppose I want to transfer my input tax credit to XY Limited and Y also want to transfer the input tax credit to XY Limited, in that case X is also going to file ITC-02, Y is also going to file ITC-02, and that person, that is XY Limited, has to accept that input tax credit. So there is one more requirement is that मेरली मैंने इनपुट ट्रांसफर कर दी, उससे वो ट्रांसफर नहीं होगी, काउंटर पार्टी हैज टू एक्सेप्ट दैट इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. दैट इज व्हाट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट. सो this is section 18 subsection 3, and for the procedural part there is one section, rule is available, that is rule number 41, and rule number 41 talks about the form number ITC-02 in case of sale, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease or transfer of the business. And if the amount is in excess of 2 lakh rupees, in that case, there is a requirement of the CS certificate or post accountant certificate is required. Okay. Or transferee has to account the same in the books of accounts of the transferee. Now, one important part is there. So this concept is clear in case of sale, merger, demerger. ITC-02 is required. ITC-02, सामने वाली counter party has to accept the input tax credit and book the same in the books of accounts. Okay. Now, next important part, procedural in case of death of the sole proprietor. Suppose there is a business with business name Jitendra Enterprises. Okay. उसका प्रोपराइटर है मिस्टर एक्स. प्रोपराइटर की डेथ हो जाती है. प्रोपराइटर का सन है मिस्टर वाई. ओके, प्रोपराइटर की डेथ हो गई, प्रोपराइटर का सन है मिस्टर वाइट, प्रोपराइटर सन प्रोपराइटर वांट्स टू कंटिन्यू द बिजनेस. In that case, what is the procedure? So, in that case, first, Mr. Y has to take the new GSTN. Okay, Mr. Y has to take the new GSTN, and from that old GSTN, Mr. Y has to, old GSTN में X is not available because X is already expired. So in that case, Mr. Y has to file Form ITC 02 to transfer that input tax credit to new form in the capacity of legal heir. कैसे फाइल करेगा? इन द कैपेसिटी ऑफ लीगल हियर मिस्टर एक्स हैज टू फाइल दैट पर्टिकुलर ITC 02 फॉर्म सो दैट ओल्ड फॉर्म इनपुट टैक्स विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ मिस्टर वाई, एंड आफ्टर दैट ट्रांसफर वाई कैन क्लोज दैट ओल्ड फॉर्म. ओके, so that is what is the procedure in case of death of sole proprietor. Sir, this case is okay? और मुझे अगेन समझाने की यहाँ पर रिक्वायरमेंट है, और द केस ऑफ सोल प्रोपराइटर, द डेथ ऑफ सोल प्रोपराइटर इज ओके फॉर यू. Section 18 subsection 4, if you have any doubt in case of soul of the death of sole proprietor, in that case you can comment in the chat box that a revision is required, and if everything is okay then there is no issue. Section 18 subsection 4 talks about where any registered person who has availed the tax credit opts to pay the tax under composition scheme, or where the goods or services both supplied by him wholly exempted, he shall pay an amount by way of debit in the electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger equivalent to the credit of input tax in respect of input held in stock, input contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock, or capital goods reduced by such percentage point as may be prescribed on the day immediately preceding the day exercise of such option. हम लोगों ने व्हेन वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट आवर डिस्कशन ऑन सेक्शन 18 सबसेक्शन पर हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था कि कोई कॉम्पोजिशन पर्सन, इफ एन कॉम्पोजिशन पर्सन इज गोइंग टू कन्वर्ट इनटू द taxable person, or an exempted goods is going to convert into the taxable goods, in that case we need to file the ITC 02 form and we need to claim the input tax credit. Okay, now if a taxable goods is going for exemption, or any regular taxable person is opting for composition scheme, taxable goods is converted into exempted goods, notified as exempted goods, or regular taxable person is going to composition scheme. In that case, whatever input tax credit is in hand of that regular taxable person, now he is a composition taxable person. So input tax rate is not usable for that person. In that case, whatever goods which is held with that person as on the date of that particular notification, or as on the date of that conversion, whatever will be the input tax credit which is whatever will be the goods which is held, उसके लिए जो भी input tax credit बनती है उस goods के ऊपर, whatever, suppose the goods is held for 10 lakh rupees and input tax credit on that particular goods is 1,80,000 rupees, in that case 1,80,000 rupees is to be reversed. Okay, if the taxable goods is going for the exempted goods, or if a regular taxable person is going to convert in a composition taxable person, in that case whatever will the goods in the hand of that person, the input tax credit related to that goods has to be reversed. Okay, suppose the amount is 1,80,000 rupees and there in the electronic credit ledger the balance available is 1,20,000 rupees. In that case 60,000 is to be reversed by paying in cash. That is what is the mechanism. This mechanism is clear. Sir, in our today's session we are going to discuss the practical scenario only, or these are the situation which is very much relevant in our day-to-day practices, and at the time of departmental audit, at the time of GST audit, at the time of litigation, we need to check these things. ओके, हम लोग जैसे डिफरेंस से चेक करते हैं, जैसे रिकंसिलिएशन करवाते हैं, दीज आर द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स ऑन विच वी नीड टू डू मोर एम्फेसिस. ओके. Now, Section 18, subsection 5 talks about the amount of credit under subsection 1 and the amount payable under subsection 4 shall be calculated in such manner as may be prescribed. वो मैंने बोल दिया कि जो भी गुड्स अपने पास में हेल्ड में है, उस गुड्स का हम लोग यहाँ पर क्या करेंगे, इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट निकाल देंगे और उस इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट को क्लेम या फिर उसका रिवर्सल हो जाएगा. In case of capital goods, what we need to do, we are going to read the same at the time of our discussion on rule number 43. Okay. So, just confirm me once that section 18 is okay for you. We had covered the complete part of section 18 in case of apportionment of credit special circumstances. Just confirm me once that apportionment is okay for all of you so that we can take another scenario, another example, another situation. I am waiting for your reply. Yes. Earlier, I was taxable under regular scheme. I am again taking that example. Okay. I was taxable under regular scheme. Now, I am going to convert in composition scheme. Okay. So, whatever goods which is in my hand, now I am going to use the concessional rate of tax and I am not using that input tax credit for any type of set off. Okay. Because I am going for the composition scheme. In that case, suppose in my hand there is a goods of 10 lakh rupees. If I am going to check the physical verification or inventory, in that case I have the goods of 10 lakh rupees. Input tax credit on that goods is 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. Input tax credit on that particular goods is 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. In that case, I need to reverse that 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. Suppose in that case, I have the balance in my electronic ledger is just 1,20,000 rupees and I need to reverse 1,80,000 rupees. In that case, I need to reverse that 60,000 rupees from electronic cash ledger. That is what is the reversal which is from electronic cash ledger. This is the specific situation under section 18 subsection 4. This example is okay. This amount which is not available in my electronic credit ledger, I need to pay the same through electronic cash ledger. Okay, and at the time of departmental audit, we need to check that this inventory figure is correct or not. Suppose उस समय तो inventory figure 12 lakh की थी and the taxpayer is going to report just 8 lakh rupees. In that case, we need to check the valuation also. So comment in the chat box that is this example is clear, and from this example, section 18 subsection 4 is clear for you. Fast reply. Your doubt is clear? Okay. So now next, suppose I have my principal place of business is in Rajasthan, Jodhpur. Okay. And I am going to open one more branch of Batu Consultancy at Jaipur. Okay. And I am going to take a separate GSTN for that firm. I am going to take a separate GSTN for that firm. In that case, suppose in Rajasthan, I have an excess balance of input tax credit, suppose 10 lakh rupees. And at initial stage in Jaipur, there is no balance of input tax credit. In that case, there is one option is available with me that I can transfer the input tax credit which is available in my Jodhpur office to my Jaipur office by filing form ITC 2A. Okay, I can file the form ITC GST 2A. Okay, and counterparty, that is my branch which is in Jaipur, has to accept the input tax credit and do the accounting as per the norms. Okay, उसको उसके books of accounts के अंदर उस input को book करना पड़ेगा. After that, that branch can claim the input tax credit. That is what is the concept of GST ITC 02A form. Okay, so this is the form. In case a registered person who has obtained separate registration for multiple place of businesses in accordance with the provision of rule number 11, who intends to transfer either wholly or partially the utilized income tax credit laying in the electronic credit ledger to any or all of the newly registered place of business shall furnish within 30 days from the obtaining of such separate registration the details in form GST ITC 02A. Okay. So that is what is the concept. Now, rule number 40 talks about the manner of claiming the input tax credit in special circumstances. We had already covered the same. We need to file the form GST ITC 01 in case of sale, exchange, barter. In case of transfer, in case of amalgamation, in case of merger, we need to file form GST ITC 02. If the amount of input tax credit is in excess of 2 lakh rupees, CA certificate is mandatory. All these things we had already discussed regarding the rules. So, sir, this is the whole concept of apportionment of credit in special circumstances, and we had covered four type of special circumstances. First is when I am liable to take the registration due to my turnover limit, and if I am going to apply for the GST registration within 30 days from the date of my liability. In that case, what is the situation for taking the input tax credit? Second example, if I am going to take the voluntary registration, in that case from the date of grant of registration, I can claim the input tax credit. Third option I have is that regarding earlier I was registered as a composition taxable person, now I am going for the regular taxable person. And fourth situation, earlier I am dealing in the exempted products and now I am going to deal in the taxable products. In that case, whatever input tax credit I have as on the date of cessation from that, in that case I am eligible to claim the input tax credit by filing the requisite form. In case of sale, exchange, barter, in case of amalgamation, merger, demerger, we can transfer the input tax credit by filing ITC 02. And sir, in case of death of sole proprietor, in that case जो legal heir है उसको new form create करनी पड़ेगी. Legal heir has to create a new form and transfer the input tax credit from old form by filing form GST ITC 02 and close that old firm. Okay, in case there is any new branches opened, in that case input tax credit can be transferred to that new branch by filing form GST ITC 02A. All these forms are okay, all this concept is okay for you, so that we can take the next point. Next concept is our input service distributor, section 20 of CGST. I am going to discuss this situation by an example. And with the help of that example, I am going to cover each and everything. Batuk Consultancy. Batuk Consultancy has various branches all over the India. Okay, pan India. Batuk Consultancy has multiple branches. Okay, and the head office is in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Head office is in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Okay. Please concentrate on this example. With that example, I am going to clear each and every concept, the complete concept of input service distributor. And this is my guarantee to you. After this example, you will never ever forget the concept of input service distributor. Okay. So, Batu Consultancy has the head office in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, and Batu Consultancy has multiple branches pan India. Sir, one branch is in Maharashtra. Most probably, most of you are from Maharashtra. So, Batu Consultancy has one branch in Maharashtra because you all are representing Batu. Okay. So, one branch is at Maharashtra. Another branch is at Kolkata. Another branch is at Gujarat. Gujarat को कैसे बोल सकते हैं? So, another branch is at Gujarat, and last branch, another branch is at UP. ओके, यूबी जी को याद करना जरूरी है. So Batu Consultancy has four registered offices, that is branch offices. One is in Maharashtra, another is in Kolkata, another is in Gujarat, and another is in Uttar Pradesh, UP. So now Batu Consultancy, the head office is going to do the centralized buying. Suppose there is a requirement of 100 PC. Okay, 100 laptops is required. For the training purposes, 100 laptop required. Okay, 25 for Maharashtra, 25 for Kolkata, 25 for Gujarat, and 25 for Uttar Pradesh. Okay, there is a requirement of 100 laptops. In that case, Batu Consultancy, the head office is going to raise one tender or issue one tender regarding the laptops. Okay, and Batu Consultancy, the head office, Jodhpur, is going to buy 100 laptops. In that case, Batuk is going to provide their GSTN. Okay, that is Rajasthan GSTN. Batuk is going to provide the Rajasthan GSTN. In that case, all the input tax credit is received by the Rajasthan office. Suppose on account of that 100 laptops, the input tax credit is 10 lakh rupees. Okay, the input tax credit is 10 lakh rupees. This example is on the basis of just figures. Okay, so there is an input tax credit of 10 lakh rupees is claimed credited to the electronic credit ledger of Rajasthan. Okay, in that case, now Batuk is going to transfer the 25 laptop, 25 laptop, 25 laptop to various locations, that is Maharashtra, Kolkata, Gujarat, okay, UP. Batuk is going to transfer that particular laptops. In that case, Batuk also needs to transfer the input tax credit because that goods are used by that particular branches, and Batuk is just going to buy that particular input tax credit. Now, Batuk wants to transfer the input tax credit from the Rajasthan GSTN to the various GSTN of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kolkata, and Uttar Pradesh. So, what is the procedure? How Batuk can transfer that input tax credit? For that purposes, Batuk needs to do his registration as ISD also. That is what is called as input service distributor. In that case, when Batuk is going to take the registration as an input service distributor, in that case, whatever input tax credit related to those laptops in the hand of Batuk Rajasthan office, okay, in the electronic credit ledger, the Batuk can transfer that tax credit. For that purposes, Batuk needs to file one specific return, that is GSTR 6. And when Batuk is going to file that GSTR 6, in that case, the input tax credit, which is 10 lakh rupees on account of that laptop, is to be transferred to various locations, that is Maharashtra, Gujarat, UP, and Kolkata. Now, question arises, sir, this input is 10 lakh rupees. And what is the ratio in which that input tax credit is to be transferred? क्या इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट जो लैपटॉप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुए क्या उस रेशियो में ट्रांसफर होगा? नो, इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड इन द रेशियो ऑफ टर्नओवर, ओके, ऑफ प्रीसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर, ऑफ प्रीसीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर के टर्नओवर में. सपोज द टोटल टर्नओवर of Maharashtra is 2.5 lakh in preceding financial year. Gujarat is also 2.5 lakh. UP is also 2.5 lakh. Kolkata is also 2.5 lakh. That total turnover is 10 lakh rupees. In that case, the turnover of specific branch divided by total turnover multiplied by ITC will be the formula in that case. In that case, the turnover of Maharashtra is 2.5 lakh divided by 10 lakh multiplied by 10 lakh ITC. That means 2.5 lakh ITC will be transferred to Maharashtra. And this is the formula by which we can calculate the input tax rate which is transferred to various branches. Now, क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, अगर पिछले साल कोई टर्नओवर नहीं हुआ तो if there is no turnover during the last that is preceding financial year, in that case you can take the turnover of last quarter in which there is turnover. ऐसा कोई भी लास्ट क्वार्टर पकड़ लेना जिसके अंदर टर्नओवर हो, उस टर्नओवर के रेशियो के अंदर वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट दैट इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. नाउ sir, if you found any issue, if you found any doubt during our this example, you can comment in the chat box so that I can repeat that also, okay, because this example is lengthy and from that example I am going to clear the complete concept of input service distributor. Now I have a branch in Maharashtra, I have one branch in Kolkata, I have one branch in Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. I had already transferred that input tax rate of 2.5 lakh, 2.5 lakh, 2.5 lakh as per the turnover. Okay. Now, after the transfer of that particular input tax credit, I got that point that due to mistake, wrongly I had transferred 2.5 lakh input tax credit to UP. I just need to transfer the 2 lakh rupees. In that case, for that excess transfer of 0.5, I can issue the credit note, and that credit note should be called as ISD credit. So, if there is excess transfer of input tax credit, in that case, that Rajasthan head office, जिसने input tax credit transfer की थी, he can issue the ISD credit note. Suppose Gujarat में input tax credit I had transferred 2.5 lakh rupees, although I need to transfer 3 lakh rupees. I had transferred less 50,000 rupees input tax credit. In that case, I can issue the debit note to transfer that input tax credit, and that debit note should be called as ISD debit note. So if there is excess, credit note can be issued. If there is less, in that case, debit note can be issued, and the transfer of input can be done by filing the form GSTR 6. That is what is the complete concept of input service distributor. First, confirm me that, sir, this example is okay for you. Then we are going to start our discussion on the language of law. If you have any doubt regarding that example, you can comment in the chat box. And if you got that point in that, please comment in the chat box. That's okay. So after that, we can start the reading of language of law. Can we start reading the language of law? Section 20, manner and distribution of credit by the input service distributor. So, credit can be distributed to the recipients of credit against a document containing such details as may be prescribed. The input tax credit which is available with the particular head office. Suppose the credit available is 10 lakh rupees. In that case, that head office cannot transfer the input tax creditors of 11 lakh rupees. जितने उसके पास में है वो उतना ही इश्यू कर सकता है. The credit of tax paid on input service attributable to a recipient of credit shall be distributed only to that recipient. Okay. If the attributable to more than one person, in that case shall be distributed in the basis of the turnover. Okay. Turnover will be during the preceding financial year. The relevant period means preceding financial year. And if the preceding financial year is not available, in that case, last quarter. What do you mean by recipient of credit? Same PAN number, GSTN can be different. If the input is distributed in excess, in that case, credit note can be issued. Okay. Procedure for distribution of input tax credit, we had already covered the same with that example. Turnover, that specific branch divided by total turnover multiplied by the input tax credit which is available. That is what is the formula. We had already covered the same. So this is the issue. In case if you want to reduce to later on, in that case debit note can be issued and credit note can be issued for the reduction and for the enhancement. That is what is the concept of input service distributor. Now, section 17, apportionment of credit and blocked credit. आपको याद होगा when we had covered the section 17 subsection 5, that is blocked credit motor vehicles vessels aircraft. At that time हम लोगों ने ये बोला था कि section 17 subsection 5 we are going to discuss, but section 17 subsection 1 2 3 4 we are going to discuss on a later case. So now we are going to start our discussion on section 17 subsection 1, that is where the goods or services or both are used by the registered person partially for the purpose of business and partially for other purposes. In that case, amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of input tax credit as if attributable to the purpose of business. Suppose I am going to use a particular goods for my business as well as for my personal purpose. In that case, input tax credit will be restricted. I need to calculate the ratio कि कितना part मेरा personal use में आ रहा है, कितना part में business के लिए use कर रहा हूँ. For that amount that I am going to use for the business purposes, I can take the input tax credit, and the common personal purposes I am not eligible to take the input tax credit. Where the goods or services both are used by the registered person partially for affecting the taxable supply including the zero rated supply under this act or under IGST act, partially for affecting the exempted supply. In that case, input tax credit is available just for the taxable supply including zero rated supply, not for the exempted supply. ये part हमको बहुत इजी लगता है, बट एट द टाइम ऑफ कैलकुलेशन, एट द टाइम ऑफ बिजनेस ऑडिट, एट द टाइम ऑफ डिपार्टमेंटल ऑडिट, एट द टाइम ऑफ फाइलिंग जीएसटीआर 9 and 9C, we need to calculate these figures. That what is the input tax rate which is related to exempted part, what is the input tax rate which is related to taxable part, what is the input tax rate which is personal purposes, what is the input tax rate which is related to business purposes. We need to calculate all these things, and on the basis of our calculation we need to calculate the input tax credit. How we are going to calculate, and for that purposes we are going to discuss on rule number 42 and 43 very soon. So section 17 subsection 3, the value of exempt supply under subsection 2 shall be such as may be prescribed and shall include supply of which the recipient is liable to pay tax on reverse charge basis. That means whenever there is any supply on which the recipient is going to pay the taxes under reverse charge mechanism, in that case that supply should be treated as your exempted supply, because you need not to pay the taxes on that particular supply. In case of banking company or financial institution, If you are going for the audit of any banking company or financial institution, in that case, for that banking company or for that financial institution, there is two scheme available in which they can claim the input tax credit. First, in regular scheme, they can select the regular scheme and they can claim the input tax credit. Second is composition scheme. If the banking company or that financial institution is going to select that scheme, that is regular or composition scheme, in that case that scheme will be continue for the whole financial year. They cannot change the scheme during the year. Okay, now what is the regular scheme and what is the composition scheme? As per the regular scheme is same. You need to check that input tax credit as per 17 subsection 5, then calculate the exempted part, then calculate the personal purpose part, then whatever input tax credit which is related to your business purpose and taxable purpose, you can claim the input tax credit. But before claiming, you just need to check the same from GSTR 2B that the input is reflected in GSTR 2B or not. That means there are multiple filters are available. First, you need to check that input tax rate is not blocked under 17 subsection 5. Then you need to exclude the figure of exempted input tax rate related to exempt supply. Then you need to exclude the non-business purpose related input tax credit. Then you need to compare the same from GSTR to the return, and then you can claim the input tax rate in case of banking and NBFC. Second scheme is your composition scheme. In that case, whatever input tax credit which is available to you, you can claim 50% of that input tax credit without any type of jagda. You need not to bifurcate the exempted supply and non-business purpose supply, and you need not to apply the rule number 42, 43. You just need to check your available input tax rate which is available to you, and you need to do the 50% of that input tax rate and claim in your electronic credit ledger. That is what is the concept of composition scheme for banking company and financial institution. Is that okay? Now we are going to read the same from the language of law. In case of banking company, including a non-banking financial company engaged in the supply of services by way of accepting deposit and extending loans or advances that choose not to comply with the provision of subsection 2 of section 17 in accordance with the option permitted under subsection 4 of that section shall follow following procedure. So whatever will be the input tax credit, the said company or institution shall not avail the credit of the tax paid on input and input service that are used for non-business purposes. Suppose for that banking company एक specific expenditure है that is completely related to the non-business purposes. In that case, banking company is not going to take the input tax credit for that non-business purpose expenditure. Then second, all the input tax credit which is available but which is blocked under section 17 subsection 5, in that case the blocked credit 17(5) will not be claimed by that particular banking institution. उसके बाद में जो भी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट अवेलेबल बची उसका 50% बैंकिंग कंपनी कैन क्लेम इन द जीएसटीआर 3B रिटर्न. So just input in 2B return, suppose this input is available, less input tax credit which is blocked under section 17 subsection 5, less completely non business purpose वाली इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, जो भी बैलेंस टैक्स क्रेडिट बचेगा उसका 50% that banking company is eligible to claim the same. That is what is the concept of this. Is that okay? This concept of section 17, that is apportionment of credit and block the credit, and the special concept of banking company. Whenever we are doing the audit of the banking company or NBFC, we need to check the scheme the banking company has adopted, the regular scheme or the composition scheme, and the input tax credit claimed by that banking company or financial institution is as per that scheme or not. So that was the concept of section 17. If you have any issue, if you have any doubt in section 17, section 18 we had already covered, section 20 that is input service distributor. If you have any doubt in all those three concepts, you can comment in the chat box. Now lastly, rule number 42 and 43 we are going to discuss. After the discussion of rule number 42 and 43, I can assure you that we had covered the complete concept of input tax credit under GST. Okay. Beginning from the section 16 of CGST Act till the section 20 of CGST Act, that is input service distributor. Now, rule number 42 is applicable in case of your inputs and input service. Very much important concept, and as a departmental authority, because maximum of you are from department, so you can find out maximum revenue leakages from this rule number 42 and 43. Whenever you are going to calculate that rule number of input tax rate, reversal of input tax rate as per rule number 42 and 43, you found multiple issues in that. You found multiple errors. So you need to check this very carefully that the reversal as per rule number 42 and 43 has been done by that particular entity or not. So first, we are going to start our discussion on rule number 42, which is applicable in case of input and input service. So, this is the formula which is here. I am going to take certain fictitious figures, and from those figures, I am going to explain the concept of rule number 42. Okay. So, सारा का सारा concentration आपका यहाँ पर होना चाहिए, इस example पर होना चाहिए. Okay. Now, suppose total input tax credit which is available in the GSTR to be returned is 100 rupees. Okay. ITC related to other than business purposes. Suppose उसने घर के लिए कोई काम खरीदा, उसने कोई आइटम खरीदा है, उसकी वाइफ के लिए कोई पर्टिकुलर आइटम खरीदा है, बच्चों के लिए कोई आइटम खरीदा है. The particular input which is not related to business purposes, that is 10 rupees. Okay. Then particular input tax credit is used exclusively for exempted supply, on which he is not going to take the output tax. Okay. So suppose that input is 10 and उसने कोई मोटर व्हीकल्स की रिपेयर करवा ली, that is blocked credit under section 17 subsection 5 repair and maintenance of that motor vehicles, we can say 10. So now ITC exclusively related to taxable supply including zero rated. उसके पास में एक इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट है जो कि एक्सक्लूसिवली उसने टैक्सेबल सप्लाई के लिए काम में लिए. ही इज गोइंग टू यूज दैट इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट फॉर कंप्लीटली फॉर हिज बिजनेस पर्पस ओनली, एंड दैट फिगर इज 30 rupees की इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट है. ही इज गोइंग टू टेक कंप्लीटली दैट फिगर फॉर हिज बिजनेस पर्पस. सो इन दैट केस total input tax credit which is credited to the electronic credit ledger. We know the input tax credit which is for personal use, he is not going to claim in the GSTR 3B return. Exempted supply also he is not going to claim in the GSTR 3B return. Blocked credit, he is not going to claim the input tax credit of that blocked credit. In that case, the amount credited to electronic credit ledger will be 70. 100 minus 10 minus 10 minus 10, that is total 30. 100 minus 30, that is ITC credited to electronic credit ledger will be 70. Common credit available, 70 will be the total input tax credit which is credited to the electronic credit ledger. In that case, the credit of 30 rupees is exclusively related for the business purposes. Hence, the credit of 40 rupees is for common credit, because in that 40 rupees, the input tax credit which is related to exempted as well as for taxable supply, the input tax credit which is for business as well as for non-business purposes. So now our work is started. We need to identify the exempted part and the non-business purpose part. So first we need to calculate the D1 part. Credit exclusively related to exempted from common credit reverse through DRC 03 or GSTR 3B. अब इसमें से we need to calculate the credit, we need to identify the credit which is especially or specifically used for the exempted supply. and we need to reverse the same through DRC 03. Next, credit related to non-business purposes. We need to identify the credit which is related to non-business purposes, and then after we need to less the same. So now, how we can decide the exempted supply? So, what is the procedure which is available? Suppose there is a common credit of 40 rupees. Okay. The common credit. We need to multiply that common credit with the exempted turnover divided by total turnover. Whatever sum will become. Suppose the sum is come as 10 rupees. In that case, we need to reverse that 10 rupees from that 40 rupees. Also, the credit which is related to non-business purposes, how we can decide the non-business purposes. So for that, whatever will be your common credit, that is 40 multiplied by 5% will be your credit which is exclusively related to non-business purposes, that is 8. You just need to reverse that 18 rupees from that and you got the 22 rupees figure. That 22 rupees is your eligible credit. You can claim the same. So your eligible credit is 30 rupees, which is exclusively related to your taxable supply or business supply, and 22 rupees, which is your common credit. That is 52 rupees you are eligible to claim that input tax credit. That is what is the concept. And this calculation has to be done on monthly basis. This calculation has to be done on annual basis, and at the time of GSTR 9 and 9C or at the time of business audit departmental audit, we need to check the same. This example of in case of input and input service regarding the reversal, that is rule number 42, is okay for you. For rule number 42 and 43, I am expecting reply from each and everyone, because these rules are completely based on practical part and these rules are very much relevant for us. रूल नंबर 42 इज ओके। नीचे यहाँ पर केवल रूल नंबर 42 की एक्सप्लेनेशन दे रखी है। वी हैड ऑलरेडी कवर्ड दैट एक्सप्लेनेशन, देयर इज नो रिक्वायरमेंट टू रीड द सेम। रूल नंबर 42 ओके। Rule number 42, I am going to repeat complete. I am going to repeat the complete example. Okay, there is no issue with that because this is a very important point out. One question is that how we can find out the T2 and T4, that is ITC related to completely related to exempt supply and exclusively related to your taxable supply. Okay, so Suppose that person is going to make a exempted supply of a particular product which is exempted by a notification. Okay, whenever you are going to check the products, you got that idea. If the product is exempted, in that case all the product which he is going to buy for manufacturing of that single product which is exempted, in that case that is treated as your T2, that is exclusively for exempted supply. And exclusively for taxable supply, you are also going to check the products of that businessman. In that case, you have the idea that these products are there which is taxable, and for preparing for manufacturing these taxable products, if he is going to buy anything, in that case the input tax rate is allowed at 100%. And the mixed common credit is that, suppose I need to prepare one specific product that is X, और उस X product को manufacture करने के लिए I need to take multiple inputs, multiple products. In that case, certain products are exempted, certain products are taxable. In that case, the cumulative figure will be my common credit. That is what is the concept. Is that okay, Patilji? Your T2 and T4 is clear most probably. Now I am going to repeat that example so that it is more convenient for you. Suppose in GSTR it will be written the total input tax rate which is available is 1000 rupees. Okay. Total input tax credit which is available is 1000 rupees, and blocked credit is 100 rupees. Exclusively related to exempt supplies 100 rupees. Exclusively related to non-business purposes 100 rupees. Okay. And exclusively related to my business purposes. How I can identify? From the nature of business. Okay. Exclusively related to business purpose is my 300 rupees. Okay. So this 300 I am eligible. Okay. Balance input tax credit, that is my common credit. तब तक पाटिल जी you can reply that your concept is okay or not. So my common credit is 400 rupees. That is 1000 total input tax credit थी, उसमें से 100 is not eligible. That is सीधा ही वो बाहर हो गई, and 300 is my exclusively related to taxable. In that case, the common credit, that is 400. In that particular tax credit, I have taxable, I have not taxable, I have business purposes. Other than business purposes, I have input tax credit which is related to exempted supply. So from that 400, I need to identify the taxable and business purpose part only, and जो input tax credit which is related to my non-business purpose and which is related to exempted supply, I need to identify. Okay. In that case, first I need to identify the supply which is for the exempted supply. In that case, I have one formula. Whatever will be the common credit. Suppose in that case, the common credit is 400 rupees. I need to multiply the same by the exempted turnover. Suppose my exempted turnover is 1 lakh rupees and divided by total turnover, that is 10 lakh rupees. In that case, 40 will be my credit which is related to the exempted supply. Now, I need to identify the supply which is non-business purposes, which is related to non-business purposes. And for deciding that input tax credit which is related to non-business purposes, I just need to do 5% of that common credit, that is 400 rupees. That is 80 rupees will be my, that is 20 rupees will be my credit which is related to non-business purposes. Now, I want to identify the eligible input tax credit from the common credit. So, my common credit was 400. उस 400 में से जैसे ही I am going to deduct the exempted related input tax credit and non-business related input tax credit, that is 40 plus 20. In that case, I find out that 340 rupees will be my business from eligible credit. So 340 plus earlier 300, that is 640 will be my credit which is credited to the GSTR, which is credited to the electronic credit ledger. Is that okay for each and everyone? That repeat example is okay? so that we can start our discussion on the capital goods. Just comment me on fastest basis so that okay. Now, in case of capital goods, what do you mean by capital goods? The fixed assets, the immovable properties termed as your capital goods. In case of capital goods, first I am going to discuss the situation, and after the discussion on the situations, we are going to discuss the provision. Okay. Suppose I am going to buy a capital goods. Suppose I am going to buy a plant and machine. Rule number 42 is okay for each and everyone. I just want that everyone should understand the concept of these things. Whatever we are going to read in our 5 day session, I just want that each and everything is clear in your mind. And you got that idea about each and everything related to the GST law. That is what is the concept. In these 5 days, we are going to cover multiple things. In last 4 days, we had covered many things. Okay. In our last session, we are going to cover many things also. Now, plant and machinery, I want to buy in my business. So, first situation is that I am going to use that particular plant and machinery exclusively for non-business purposes or exclusively for exempted supply. Suppose I am doing the business of exempted supply only. In that case, if I am going to buy any plant and machinery, I am not going to take the input tax credit because I am going to use that particular plant and machinery exclusively for my non-business purpose. Second situation, I am going to use that particular plant and machinery exclusively for my business purposes or exclusively for the taxable supply. In that case, I am eligible to claim the input tax rate 100%. Okay. The first situation, second situation is okay. Third situation, when I am going to buy a plant and machinery and I am going to use that plant and machinery for my taxable purposes as well as for my exempted purposes, in that case, there is a question of common credit. Certain credit is related to the exempted supply, certain credit is related to the exempted supply. In that case, I can take that credit as common credit. Suppose I am going to buy a plant and machinery for 10 lakh rupees. And input tax credit on that particular plant and machinery is 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. And if I am going to use that particular plant and machinery for taxable as well as for non-business purposes, in that case, I need to decide the ratio. Okay, and the ratio will be the turnover ratio. Exempted turnover divided by total turnover. I got the idea about the exempted input tax credit, and I am not going to claim that particular input tax credit. I am just going to claim the input tax credit which is related to my taxable part. That is what is the now. This is the situation here. First, used exclusively for non-business purposes. I am not going to take the input tax credit. Exclusively used for the business purposes. In that case, I am going to take 100% credit. Balance credit shall be denoted as A. Okay, and I need to distribute the same in the ratio of exempted turnover and total turnover. Now, I am going to take the situation. If any capital goods which was covered under clause A, that means when I had bought that particular capital goods, at that time I was just doing the business, exclusively doing the business of exempted supply. Okay, in that case, I had not claimed the input tax credit. मैंने उसकी input tax credit claim नहीं की थी. If it will be covered under clause C, after a particular period of time, if the same is going to covered under clause C, that means after 1 year, I am going to use that particular plant and machinery for exempted as well as for taxable purposes. In that case, from the date of purchase of the capital goods till the current date, capital goods ITC related to clause A shall be calculated by 5% each quarter and the getting figure shall be added to the output tax liability. Sir, क्या बोला? नहीं समझा. So I am going to take the example, and with that example I am going to clear the situation. Suppose on 1st April 2022, I had bought one plant and machinery for 10 lakh rupees. And input tax credit on that plant and machinery is 1,80,000. Okay. As on 30th September, and when I bought that particular plant and machinery, I was using that plant and machinery exclusively for exempted supply. That means at that time I had not claimed any type of input tax credit on that plant and machinery. Now, as on 30th September, I am going to start the business of taxable goods also, and now I am going to use that particular plant and machinery for taxable as well as for exempted purposes. In that case, now I am eligible to claim the input tax credit. Okay, so first for this period, that is 6 months, that is 2 quarters. I am not eligible to claim the input tax credit because I had used that particular plant and machinery exclusively for exempted supply. In that case, I need to calculate that exempted supply ke input tax credit by 1,80,000 multiplied by 5% per quarter. That is, the time period is 2 quarter. Hence, the complete figure for 2 years is 18,000 rupees. I am not eligible to claim that input tax credit. So first, I need to reverse that 18,000 rupees, and for reversal, there is a formula which is prescribed that I need to add that 18,000 rupees in my output tax. And when I am going to add the same in my output tax, in that case, there is a reduction of input tax rate because that output tax is going to set off by tax rate, or I need to pay the same through electronic cash ledger. So that is what is the period when the product was used for the exempted supply. I need to reverse that input tax rate, although I had not claimed the same. But now, as on the date when I am going to claim that particular input tax credit, because I am going to use that plant and machinery for taxable as well as for non-GST supply as on 30th September. So at that time, I am going to claim that complete 1,80,000 rupees as common credit. For that purposes, 18,000 rupees, that is 5% per quarter, I need to add the same in my output tax. Is that clear? This concept is okay, sir. थोड़ा सा confusing है, थोड़ा सा complicated है. Hence, I am asking to you that this concept is okay so that I can take the next situation. If this situation is okay for you, in that case, you can understand the second situation. Basically, nothing is there. You are going to use that particular plant and machinery for exempted purposes just for 6 months. So per quarter 5%, 2 quarter, that is 10%, 1,80,000 की total input tax credit थी. 18,000 you need to add to the output tax liability, and the complete 1,80,000 rupees you are going to use as common credit. That is, you are going to take that 1,80,000 and distribute the same in the ratio of your exempted turnover and total turnover. So I am expecting reply from each and everyone that this concept is okay. Now, next situation. If any capital goods which was covered under clause B means earlier I was using that particular plant and machinery. When I had bought that particular plant and machinery, at that time I am using that particular plant and machinery just for my business purposes or just for my taxable supply. Okay, in that case, I had already claimed the complete input tax credit at that time. Suppose 1,80,000 I had already claimed. But now the same is covered under clause C. That means now I am going to use that particular plant and machinery for exempted as well as for taxable purposes. Then in that case, from the date of purchase of the capital goods till the current date, ITC related to clause B shall be calculated by 5% of each quarter, and getting figure shall be reduced from the input tax credit related to clause B, and balance figure shall be added to the common credit. So, same example, April 2022, I had bought that particular plant and machinery for 10 lakh rupees. Input tax credit was 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. As on 30th September 2022, I am going to, earlier I was using that particular plant and machinery just for my taxable purposes. In that case, I had already claimed the complete 1,80,000 input. Now, as on 30th September, I am going to use that particular plant and machinery for taxable as well as for non-business purpose. Okay, for exempted purposes. In that case, now I am not eligible to claim the full input tax credit because I am going to use the same. So, under GST, we are going to use that particular life of that capital goods is 60 months. Okay. So we are going to divide the particular input tax credit divided by 60 months. So first 6 months, I had used that particular capital goods just for my taxable purposes. That means during these first 6 months, I am eligible to claim 100% input tax credit for that. Okay. So how I can decide? 5% per quarter, part of the quarter. There is 2 quarter. That means 10%. That is 18,000 input tax credit, which is exclusively related to taxable supply, because during these first 6 months, I had used that particular plant and machinery just for my business purpose, just for taxable purposes. In that case, I need to less 18,000 from that 1,80,000 rupees. Okay. So balance 1,60,000 will be my common credit, and now I am not eligible to claim that complete 1,60,000 rupees. So I need to distribute the same in the ratio of exempted divided by total turnover, and I need to segregate the exempted figure and total input tax credit. I need to reverse the same in the GST return. That is what is the concept. So in case of capital goods, first situation was that earlier I was using that particular plant and machinery for exempted purposes only. In that case, I had done the calculation. Second situation was that earlier I was using that particular plant and machinery just for my taxable purposes. Now I am going to use the same for taxable as well as for exempted. In that case, the calculation is available in front of you. थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजिंग है. This is my humble submission to you. You just need to repeat that video. Okay, I am also going to share the recording of that video. You just need to repeat these things because आज के सेशन में हमने थोड़ी सी कंफ्यूजिंग चीजें ज्यादा की है. And this is the calculation part. And literally saying, whenever you are going for the departmental audit, whenever you are going for the GST audit, ADP 01 business audit, you need to check these things. You need to check the reversal in case of capital goods. You need to check the reversal in case of input and input service. You carefully check the rule number 42, 43 itself. Okay, the implication of rule number 42 and 43 is very much important while doing the GST audit. So, with this, we had covered the complete concept of input tax credit, section 16 for claiming the input tax credit, section 16 subsection 2 for various conditions, mandatory conditions to claim the input tax credit. Okay, वो depreciation वाला part, वो maximum timeline to amend the GSTR 1 and 3B return 30th November or annual return की due date whichever is earlier, 17.5 की blocked credit, apportionment of credit, special circumstances, 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, the concept of input service distributor, and our rule number 42 and 43. Just I am expecting reply from each and everyone that all these concepts, the complete concept of input tax credit is okay for you. Just provide me the reply. I am always saying, to understand the complete GST, there are certain basics. First is your supply. Second is your time of supply. Next is your valuation part. Fourth is your ITC, and next is your place of supply. This is the basics of GST. We had already covered the supply, the time of supply, the valuation, section 15, and various valuation rules and input tax credit, section 16 to section number 20. Now, we are going to start our discussion on place of supply. So common credit after 30th September, you are going to claim that common credit on monthly basis. Okay, you are going to you just take this 1,62,000 rupees input tax credit. Okay, just take this balance input tax credit of 1,20,000 rupees. Now, total 60 months is the life of that particular plant and machinery. You had already spent that 6 months, so balance life is 54 months. You just need to divide the same 54, whatever amount will come. Suppose 10,000 will come. You need to divide the same by exempted, divide by total turnover on monthly basis, and whatever will be the part related to your exempted, you are not going to claim the same. That is, you are going to reverse the same. Once in GSTR 3D, we should show complete 10,000 rupees, then reverse. Suppose 6,000 is related to your exempted, you need to reverse the same. That is what is the concept in case of reversal. Is that okay, Patalji? जब आप लोग किसी सेशन में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं इंटरेस्ट लेकर के, व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू मेक दिस सेशन एज इंटरेक्टिव, तो मजा आता है चीजों को डिस्कस करने में. सो नाउ सर, प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई, कैन वी टेक द प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई ऑन टुडे और वी नीड टू टेक दिस ऑन टुमारो? इफ आज क्या है, हम लोगों ने कैलकुलेशन वाला पार्ट ज्यादा डिस्कस किया है, सो इफ there is multiple calculations in your mind, in that case we may take the concept of place of supply, because कल के लिए अपने पास में place of supply का टॉपिक है, रिफंड वाला टॉपिक है, and we are going to cover certain important points also. Okay, in our tomorrow session we are going to cover place of supply, the concept of refund under GST, and also we are going to basically cover the audit and assessment part, and also we'll try to cover certain important parameter under GST, the miscellaneous points. So, if you are okay, then we may take the place of supply part in our today's session, or we may take this in our tomorrow session. Whatever you want, just comment in the chat box or first spaces so we can start our discussion. जब तक आप रिप्लाई करते हैं, मैं कुछ चीजें तो चालू कर देता हूं. सर, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दैट इंटरेस्टेड सप्लाई? व्हेनेवर देयर इज अ सप्लाई बिटवीन टू स्टेट्स, सपोज someone is from Rajasthan, I am from Rajasthan, and I am going to make a supply to Gujarat. In that case, that supply will be treated as your interstate supply. If supply between two different union territories, one state and one union territory, in that case we can say that that particular supply is your interstate supply. When we are going to say that the particular supply is export, whenever we are going to make a supply outside India. Okay, outside India means the custom territory. जब हम लोग custom territory इंडिया की जो है क्रॉस कर लेगा, at that time we can say that the particular supply is of your export. Section 7 subsection 3, subject to the provisions of section 12, supply of service, where the location of the supplier, place of supply are in two different state, two different union territory, one state and one union territory. That is what is called as your interstate supply. Sir, what do you mean by that intra-state supply? Intra-state supply means within one state. When I am in Rajasthan and I am going to make a supply in Rajasthan itself, in that case we can say that the particular supply is intra-state supply. But suppose I am going to take one example, interesting example. Suppose I am in Rajasthan. I am in Rajasthan, Jodhpur. and there is an SEZ unit is also located in Jodhpur named Boranada. ये हमारे यहाँ पे एक जगह है बोरानाडा. Okay, Boranada is SEZ. If I am in Jodhpur and I am going to make a supply to SEZ, that is Boranada, in that case, if I am going to make any supply, whether it is an intra-state supply, but that supply should be treated as inter-state supply. That is, that supply should be treated as export, and no GST shall be charged in that specific case. Okay, so this is an exception in case of intrastate supply. Whenever someone is going to make any supply to SEZ unit or SEZ developer, whether the same SEZ unit or SEZ developer is situated in the same state, in that case the supply should be treated as the interstate supply, and the same is to be treated as export zero rated supply. No GST should be charged in that case. Okay, so that is what is the concept of SEZ unit and SEZ developer. Now, in case of build to ship to model, one more important concept is there, that is build to ship to model. In case of build to ship to model, sir, what do you mean by this build to ship to model? Suppose I am a registered person in Rajasthan. Okay, and I am going to make a particular supply in Gujarat to Mr. Rakesh. Okay, and Rakesh says me, sir, please make, please dispatch that particular goods to Maharashtra. Yeah, please dispatch that particular goods to Rajasthan at the place of Mr. Mukesh. In that case, I am going to make a bill in the name of Mr. Rakesh, who is in Gujarat. So I am going to charge IGST. And I am going to ship that particular product to Rajasthan in the hand of Mr. Mukesh. So in that case, I am going to ship that particular goods to Rajasthan itself. But I am going to make the invoice with the name of Mr. Rakesh, who is in Gujarat, so IGST should be charged. That model should be called as a bill to ship to model. And in case of bill to ship to model, we need to be very much careful while deciding the place of supply. Okay, if there is multiple layers are available, in that case, we need to be very much careful in case of build to ship to model. And this model is really very much important for us. And at the time of departmental audit, at the time of business audit, we need to check the things very carefully. Okay. Now, place of supply of goods imported and exported from India. जो भी कंटेंट मैं यहाँ पर स्किप कर रहा हूँ वो सारा कंटेंट हम लोग एग्जांपल के थ्रू यहाँ पर कवर कर रहे हैं. वी आर गोइंग टू कवर दैट complete content from example itself. Okay, so I am going to skip that particular content. बाकी हम लोग कुछ भी डिस्कशन में पेंडिंग नहीं रखेंगे. This is my assurance to you. Okay, we are going to discuss the complete basic part and certain level of advanced part in this 5 days live course. Okay, so Section 11, place of supply of goods imported into and exported from the place of supply of goods when imported into India shall be the location of the importer. Whenever we are doing the import, okay, suppose I am going to make an import of a particular product from Japan. In that case, what will be the place of supply? Place of supply will be the place of importer. That is my place. Hence, here IGST should be charged. ओके इसलिए वो लोग यहाँ पर आरसीएम के अंदर आईजीएसटी लेते हैं एंड वी नीड टू पे द टैक्स अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म. That is what is the concept behind this, because the place of supply is the place of importer, or in case of export, the place of supply will be the place outside India. Okay, hence there is no GST. The same should be treated as export, that is zero rated supply. In our tomorrow session, we are going to discuss on the refund procedure. What is the procedure for refund, and what are the parameters, what are the various compliances we need to check at the time of checking the data regarding the refund. All these things we are going to discuss. At that time, we are deeply going to discuss on the concept of export. Okay. Place of supply of services where the location of the supplier and recipient is in India. In case of supply of service, The provision of this section shall apply to determine the place of supply of service where the location of the supplier of service and location of recipient of services in India. The place of supply of service except the service is specified in subsection 3 to subsection 13. There are certain situations specified. We are also going to discuss on these situations one by one. So, if the service is made to registered person, in that case, location of such person. If made to any person other than a registered person shall be the location of the recipient where the address of on record where the location of supplier of service in other cases. Suppose I am going to provide my services. I am going for multiple training sessions in multiple corporates. Okay, I am going to take the live sessions for multiple corporates. In that case, I am going to provide my training sessions to a corporate. And if the corporate is registered under GST, in that case, I am in Rajasthan, Jodhpur, and I am going to provide my business consultancy, corporate consultancy training sessions to various entities pan India. Suppose I am going to provide the services in Bangalore. In that case, the counterparty is registered, hence the place of supply will be the place of supply of that particular person, the registered address of that particular person, that is Bengaluru. And in that case, I need to charge IGST. Next scenario, I am registered under GST and I am going to provide my training services to all of you, and maximum of you are unregistered. Okay. In that case, if your address is on my record, in that case, I am going to charge IGST because your place will be the place of supply. And if your place is not in my record, in that case, I am going to charge CGST and SGST because my place is deemed to be the place of supply. Okay, that is what is the concept of section 12 or subsection 2 in case of supply of services. Or whenever you are going for the departmental audit or whenever you are going for the business audit, at that time you need to check that the reconciliation is okay, the valuation is okay, all things are okay, the place of supply is okay or not. कहीं that person needs to charge IGST, instantly उसने CGST और SGST तो चार्ज नहीं कर दिया है, या फिर उसको CGST और SGST चार्ज करना था, कहीं उसने IGST तो चार्ज नहीं कर दिया है. These are the specific situation on which that person needs to be very much careful. Okay, so this is the situation. This is the basic concept regarding place of supply. When there is supply between the two states, two union territory, in that case, that supply should be treated as your inter-state supply. Is the supply between within the state? In that case, that supply should be treated as your intra-state supply. But in that particular intra-state supply, the supply one location exceeded unit, in that case that should be treated as your interstate supply. In case of import, the place of importer will be treated as place of supply. In case of export, the place of outside India will be treated as your place of supply. In case of services, if the registered counterpart is registered, the registered address will be the place of supply. If the counterpart is not registered and address is available on the records, in that case, that address will be treated as place of supply. And if that registration register the address is not available, in that case the place of supply will be treated as place of supply. Now sir, section 12 subsection 3 say section 12 subsection 14 tak, there are multiple situations available, and all these situations we need to decide the place of supply. So this is take around 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so I am not going to take this concept in our today's session. We are going to discuss on that in our tomorrow's session. I am just going to recap the today's session. Okay, so that it will be more convenient for us. We can realize the things, we can reconcile the things. Okay, in our today's session we had started our thing, we had started our thing from section 18, that is apportionment of credit in various situations. First situation was that when the limit has crossed, the turnover limit has crossed, and due to that I want to take the registration. Second situation, voluntary registration. Third situation, composition taxable person to regular scheme. Fourth situation, exempted person to taxable person. Then after we had discussed on section 18 subsection 4, in that case the taxable person, taxable supply converted into exempted supply, and that regular person is going for the exempted person. ITC 01 is mandatory. In case of sale, amalgamation, merger, demerger, transfer, ITC 02 has to file and counterparty has to accept the same. In case of our one office is in Rajasthan and I am going to open another branch is at Jaipur. At initial stage, if I am going to transfer the input tax credit, I need to form file ITC 02A. Okay. In case of section 17, subsection 1, the common credit regarding if I am going to use a particular input tax credit for my business as well as for my non-business purpose, or for my taxable as well as for my non-taxable purposes, in that case, I need to identify the input tax credit through rule number 42 and rule number 43. Rule number 42 is specifically applicable in case of input and input service, and rule number 43 is specifically applicable in case of capital goods. Capital goods में हमने दो situation read out करी. At the time of buying of that particular capital goods, I am doing the business completely of my exempted supply, and second situation was related at the time of buying I was doing the business in completely in taxable supply. Okay, then after we had started the concept of a place of supply, intrastate supply, intrastate supply. In case of intrastate supply, one specific thing is your SEZ, and then after we had discussed on your import and export, and then after the providing of services, in case of services what will be the place of supply. This is the summary of our today's session within 2 minutes. Okay. And now in our tomorrow session, we are going to cover the various situation in case of place of supply. And then after we are going to take the concept of refund. And basically, we are also going to take the concept of audit and assessment under GST, and we'll try to cover one or two miscellaneous topic in that. Okay, sir. So for today, I am going to sign off. In our tomorrow session, we are going to cover multiple content, the remaining content of this 5 days live course. Okay. So thank you for your patience learning. If you have any doubt, if you have any question, and if you want to cover any specific point in our tomorrow session, this is my humble request to you. Just comment in the chat box, just comment in the WhatsApp group so that we can take that topic. And if you have any query, you can comment in the WhatsApp group. There is no issue with that. And I am not limited to tomorrow's session. Okay. If you have any question in future, you are free to raise the questions in the WhatsApp group. I will assure you that I will provide you the reply within a stipulated time. Okay, sir. So thank you for your patience learning. Good night and take care.